Hello everyone and welcome back to GodSaw's Turnbuckle, and we are here once again. We are back with some predictions. This time it will be for AEW's Forbidden Door 2025. So far we do have 9 matches on the card. Now I do feel like this could be quite predictable to a certain degree, at least for some of the matches, maybe not so much for all the matches on the card, but it is one of those crossover events where, well, you probably expect more good wrestling than an unpredictable outcome. Just for the sake of saying anything on that one, because typically when other promotions titles are on the line, or titles going up against for AEW going up against people from other promotions, they tend to not change hands unless they decide to really go a completely different route, which at this point in time I don't necessarily think that would be the case. Now again, we have 9 matches on the card. I do expect it to be a relatively good show. Actually, probably good chance that it is going to be a good show. It is an AEW event, so typically their pay-per-views do they do hit in that sense. So we will get started with everything now. It will be with the first match. It will be a triple threat match for the AEW tag team titles. It will be the Hurt Syndicate going up against FTR versus Brodie, King, and Bandio. Now this is a case where I feel like it could be a little bit more unpredictable. It's also a triple threat match for this one. I do know that apparently there has been some backstage stuff with the Hurt Syndicate and everything to go along with it, where they quote unquote don't want to lose. I don't necessarily know with those ones. It's more of what you hear from the backstage side, everything to go along with that. Now, obviously, the story setting up on this, you had a tag team tournament going on to determine the number 1 contenders. You had that finals with FTR and Bandido and Brodie King, which went to a 30-minute time limit, which made it a triple threat match. And oddly enough, in this one, because it is a triple threat match, I'm actually going with FTR to pick up the victory on this one, because it would be a way to get the tag titles off of the Hurt Syndicate and put it on somebody else, well, necessarily pinning the Hurt Syndicate to go along with it. So I am going to go with FTR to pick up the victory and take the AEW tag team titles. And up next, it is going to be for the Unified Championship. It is going to be Kazuchika Okada going up against Swerve Strickland. This has been more promo heavy than anything. You've had a few like altercations here and there between Swerve and Okada. Honestly, I do expect this to be a good match. In the sense of everything. Now, it has come to report that over the last number of years that Swerve Strickland has been working with a torn MCL, or a torn meniscus in his knee. And obviously it's one of those knee injuries where you can kind of get away with it without surgery for a while, but probably will have to have surgery at some point in time. Now, with that being said, I am going to go with Okada to pick up the victory here. And it's not necessarily just because of the aspect of Swerve, where reports have been coming out that he's been injured for a number of years with the knee. It's going to be more on the aspect that that unified title was just created about a month or so ago. I don't feel like they're going to be changing that title that quickly. And yes, I know Okada had that Continental title for well over a year before the unified title happened, but I don't feel like they're going to change a title that quickly after just creating it. But I could be completely wrong on that one as well. There's a possibility that Swerve does pick up the victory, but I'm going to go with Okada on this one. And up next is going to be a tag team match. It's going to be Adam Copeland and Christian Cage teaming up once again to go up against KillSwitch and Kip Sabian. Now, Luchasaurus or KillSwitch got put into this match after apparently Nick Wayne had broken his foot. And so they did the return of KillSwitch, which was actually very well done on Wednesday night with the video package and everything, where they're in a doctor's office and bringing Luchasaurus KillSwitch back to life and everything on that. I I did think that was a good one. Now, does this make me feel like that KillSwitch and Kip Sabian are going to win this match? No, because I feel like you're going to be getting more with the Adam Copeland and Christian Cage teaming up again. I do like the whole aspect of Christian Cage still playing more of a heel side of everything, but also Adam Copeland, you know, is like, I kind of accept him for what he is at this point in time. So it was actually kind of well done and made a little bit more sense. They're not immediately on the same page right off the bat. But in the sense of everything, I'm still going to go with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage picking up the victory on this one. Like I said, it's the first time they're teaming up in AEW, so I can't imagine them losing this match. And up next, it will be a fatal four-way match for the TBS Championship. It will be Mercedes Mone going up against Alex Windsor, Persephone, and Bozilla. Now, this is... I think this is going to be an interesting match. I'm not super familiar... I'm not super familiar with Bozilla. I know she's from Stardom. I haven't watched a lot of matches from Persephone as well, so I'm not necessarily certain what we're going to be getting in that sense from both of them going into this fatal four-way. But it is one of those things where I feel like with the factors that you have Mercedes Mone, she's doing the whole belt collector thing. Alex Windsor is, up and coming in AEW. And then you have somebody from CMLL with Persephone and somebody from Stardom with Bozilla being probably a very intriguing match, and probably would be a lot of fun to end out watching. So we'll see how that happens in the end. But I don't feel like a fatal four-way is a good spot to change the TBS title and take that belt off of Mercedes Mone. I feel like somebody is going to have to beat Mercedes in a one-on-one match, whether it be Alex Windsor or somebody else. Who necessarily knows for that one, but I have to go with Mercedes Mone to pick up the victory on this one. Again, I just don't feel like a fatal four-way is a good spot to change that title and take that title off of Mercedes. And up next, it is going to be a lights out match inside of a steel cage. It's going to be Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, and Tanahashi going up against the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd. And this is going to be an interesting match. This is going to be a very interesting match, especially coming off of the factor of the Anarchy in the Arena match that did have some of these people in there. And obviously Will Ospreay is going to be joining in with this. And actually... Kota Ibushi is kind of new to it. Darby was well, now I'm thinking about it, on the babyface side, the only person who was in the Anarchy in the Arena match was Kenny. Now you did have, pretty much everybody else who had from the heel side participated in Anarchy in the Arena, so it is a little bit different in that sense. Now it's going to be interesting on the fact that this is not a blood and guts style match. It is going to be a single ring and a single steel cage, so it's going to be interesting having 10 people in there just fighting around one cage with that. It makes me imagine like how much this fight is going to go outside the cage. Are they going to have a cage that maybe goes to the ground more so they can fight on the outside of the ring with everything? So it's hard to really say what it would end up being. But in purposes of picking up the victory for this one, I feel like the babyface team is going to win this one. I know the Death Riders haven't been winning much recently, but, it's just one of those things where I just feel like the babyface team is going to win with this one, especially with Tanahashi this being like his last UK match. It just leads to them probably picking up the victory for this. So I'm going to go with the babyface team for this one. And up next, it will be for the TNT title. It will be Kyle Fletcher going up against Hiromu Takahashi. Again, this is going to be one of those matches where it's going to be a really good match, but I don't feel like the outcome is really in doubt. You just don't feel that would be the case here. Now, Takahashi had always been doing really well in New Japan, especially in the juniors division. He's very good inside the ring. I would definitely remember when I was watching more New Japan at the time. I remember watching plenty of his matches. So I expect this to be a really good match, but the outcome is, I don't feel like it's in any doubt. It's going to be Kyle Fletcher picking up the victory on this one. And up next is going to be for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. It is going to be Zack Sabre Jr. going up against Nigel McGuinness. Yes, inject this right into my veins. Much like with many of these matches, I don't feel like the outcome is going to be in doubt, but the fact that you get to see Nigel McGuinness going up against Zack Sabre Jr. is one of those matches where, like, yes, I would like to watch that, like, much like the Kyle Fletcher Hiromu Takahashi match, something I would actually really like to see. But again, I don't feel like that outcome is going to be in any doubt here with the IWGP heavyweight title on the line. I'm going to go with Zack Sabre Jr. to pick up the victory. Like I said, it just doesn't feel like there's any doubt in this particular one. And up next, it will be for the AEW Women's Championship. It will be Timeless Toni Storm going up against Athena. And this is going to be, again, another really good match. And I've actually liked how they've been building this up. It feels like that Athena has been, for the most part, getting one up on Toni Storm throughout the entire time. As a matter of fact, she's even pinned Toni Storm at one point in time as well, to go along with that in a tag match. This has been a relatively I won't say, yeah, it's been a relatively well-told story going into this particular match. And this is going to be an interesting one just on the aspect of where they're going to go with everything, because they have been, putting over how long Athena's had the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And of course, everything with Timeless Toni Storm as well, probably being one of the most popular characters in the company to go along with everything. Now, it is going to be an interesting thing to see what they decide to do with this. Obviously, the Ring of Honor title is not on the line on this one, just the AEW Women's Championship. So you won't really get like that whole double champion thing or anything to go along with this. But oddly enough, I'm going to go with Athena to pick up the victory on this one. I know Timeless Toni Storm is probably one of the more popular characters in there, and has been very enjoyable over the last few years as well. But I feel like they may want to bring Athena more onto AEW television versus just always being on Ring of Honor, where she's kind of reigned over everything down in Ring of Honor. So she's done great there. It's probably time to bring her into the main fold on AEW. And what a way to do that, by having her win the Women's Championship. I think it would just be a very good way of going. You have the whole aspect that, Toni Storm was able to win it All In. And you can even put that title back on Toni Storm somewhere down the line when they decide to maybe take that title off of Athena, or wherever they go with everything. But I would like to see Athena pick up the victory on this one, and I'm actually gonna pick Athena to pick up the victory here. And again, much like many of these matches, I anticipate this to be a really good match. And up next, it is what will possibly be the main event. It's going to be Hangman Adam Page going up against MJF for the AEW World Championship. And the reason why I say that this is possibly the main event, because typically the world title match does close out the show on a pay-per-view, but there is a good possibility that they go with a lights out cage match being the main event of the show. Now, for this, in terms of the story, they've been setting up where MJF has been trying to get a world title match without using his contract, and even being tricked into saying that he will execute the contract at Forbidden Door by Hangman Adam Page, but only to have that kind of get reversed the next week when the Gates of Agony and MJF, threatened to set Mark Briscoe on fire. So now, basically, the terms of the match are the title can change hands by disqualification, by count out, and now MJF does not have to execute the contract at Forbidden Door. He just has the match. Now, this is, again, the first world title, or not really the first world title match. This is the second world title match, but the first pay-per-view world title match for Hangman Adam Page since winning at All In. He did defend the title basically in a rematch against Moxley a few weeks after All In, so it's not necessarily the first title defense for this, but again, it's only been about a month. It's only really been about a month since Hangman won that title. I don't feel like they're going to be changing that championship here that quickly, or at least not in the normal match sense of everything. There is still the whole aspect of the contract afterwards. I am going to pick Hangman Adam Page to win the initial match for this one, because again, I don't feel like they're changing the title that quickly. But if they are going to be changing the title that quickly, there is a possibility that they decide to go the route of, MJF loses the first match, but executes the contract and is able to pick up the title afterwards. The whole thing with the Hurt Syndicate kind of just dropped off out of nowhere. And it's one of those things is that kind of like something saying, it's like, hey, don't look at this, and then we're going to bring it back here. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. But oddly enough, I don't even know if we're going to really see the contract get executed on this particular show. I'm just throwing that out there as it is a possibility for something to happen. But yeah, I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page to pick up the victory. If the contract is, cashed in, executed, whatever they want to call it, after the fact, then we may still see a title change on the night. We'll see what ends up happening with that. And yeah, that is everything here. That is all 9 matches from AEW's Forbidden Door. Predictions of mine that are more than likely wrong in most cases. And I won't say let's say in most cases, probably wrong. But yeah, if you did enjoy everything, feel free to like, subscribe to the channel if you so wish as well, and also leave a comment down below with your predictions for AEW Forbidden Door as well. And with that being said, everybody, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.